As my partner had mentioned, the U.S. should implement strict federal gun laws to reduce the amount of violence in mass shooting. It should also, which leads me to my inherent claim with that current regulations are inadequate and are flawed. My first point is that the total gun death, as she had mentioned, there are loopholes in the current system. In the article, U.S. gun laws, House passes bill expanding background checks. It talks about a current bill that is being discussed on whether it should be passed that will ensure that people who are in danger to themselves and others cannot purchase a gun or perpetrate violence in our communities. The reason for this is because it raised an issue of the motor vehicle deaths. The total gun deaths has surpassed the car deaths by a rate of 11.9 per every 100,000 people, and as the rate of car deaths are steadily decreased, the gun deaths have increased over the years. The reason for this is because we've tackled motor vehicle deaths with real policy solutions. For example, raising the drinking age, creating a standard blunt content, which could be in your system as you're driving, regulating airbags, the use of seatbelts, and other tactics. But however, none have been taken to accommodate our nation's gun violence crisis. And the reason why the motor vehicle deaths has been decreased is because of the article, gun-related deaths have surpassed motor vehicle deaths. The work to reduce motor vehicle deaths was the result of Congress and the executive branch working together to tackle a public health crisis. So the reason why the deaths have decreased is because Congress took a step and they passed the federal laws that eliminated those. However, because those were decreased, the gun rates were increased because of the same reason that there were no actions taken for them. This also leads me to my insolvency claim that the amount of death by gun has been constantly increasing. In 2014, according to the U.S. gun deaths by year, 33,594 deaths were present throughout the entire year. And in 2014, it increased to 36,000, and in 2016, 38,000. The number increases each year. According to Gun Violence in America, the average gun deaths per year is 36,383. This is from the article Gun Violence in America, which is from April of 2019. This is the current issue that is going on. Also, the average gun deaths per year includes suicide, homicide, unintentional deaths, deaths by law enforcement, and deaths when they're undetermined. Suicide deaths per year are 22,274,000, and homicide are 12,830. Nearly 2/3 of gun deaths are caused by suicide. This leads me to the amount of gun injuries per year, because as my partner had mentioned, the U.S. should implement strict federal gun laws to reduce the amount of violence, because even though deaths aren't occurring, people are also still getting injured. The average gun injuries per year is 100,120, assault 76,258, unintentional 18,000, and self-harm, which is also 4,000. This also includes the injuries by law enforcement, which is 1,350. Going back to the amount of death by gun constantly increasing in the past 2 years, in the year 2017 and 2018, nearly 40,000 people were killed by gun violence, and which is about 1,000 more than were killed in motor vehicle crashes. Again, because the amount of vehicle crashes were reduced because actions were taken, and not enough actions have been taken for federal gun laws. as I had mentioned, nearly 2/3 of gun deaths are a cause of suicide because the current regulations are inadequate. As my partner had mentioned, you can obtain a firearm at the age of 18. However, you are not allowed to drink at 18. This has led, which was the cause of the suicides, because you're allowed to have them in a home. It's more accessible to the families and the children and those who are near. Also, public mass shootings are also a small slice of the gun deaths. The mass shooting so far in 2019, there have been 10 deaths, and gun-related has been 1,735. Also, even though criminals or those who have guns are going out, according to the terrible numbers that grow with each mass shooting, most victims are chosen not for what they have done, but simply where they happen to be. So most shootings are random, meaning that exactly what the article had said, you're not being chosen for what you have done, but just simply because where you are. Which also goes back to that the current regulations are inadequate, because as you renew for the renewal in certain states, the average is 5 years, but the renewal does not cover the original process of going through, for example, passing a mental test